Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, government assuring voters of the integrity of the new continuous voter register. Why members of the Democratic National Alliance marched on Parliament today. And taking stock of the nominations, nominees, and controversy ahead of the next general election. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, National Security Minister Marvin Dames today declaring there will be no hanky-panky when it comes to maintaining the integrity of the voters' register. Dames insists the permanent voters' register will be accurate. Jasmine Brown reports.
As the National Security Minister gave that update, he continued to stress that there will be no funny business when it comes to voter registration.
There will be no hanky-panky as long as I have oversight of the Parliamentary Registration Department. We will ensure, and the Parliamentary Commissioner is making this an emphasis, that only those persons who are legally entitled and eligible to vote in a particular area will be voted.
Dames making the comments in his contribution to the mid-year budget debate in the House of Assembly. Parliament passed the Parliamentary Election Amendment Act 2020 last December, making the voters register from the last general election a continuous or permanent register. Dames says in order to ensure the integrity and accuracy of the register, the Parliamentary Registration Department has implemented several steps.
The Parliamentary Commissioner will 1. Engage in continuous editing of the permanent register, the registration list. 2. The permanent register will be continuously purged of deceased persons. 3. New registrants will be added. 4. Transfers will be processed daily. 5. Incarcerated persons' voting rights will be suspended. And 6. Scrutineers to test the validity of the register will be deployed to all registration centers.
While there have been some concerns over how the COVID-19 pandemic will impact the process, Dames says registration is well on its way.
After purging, there are 187,640 registered persons, which reflect an increase of some 6,097, or 3%.
Phase 3 of the registration will include pop-up registration centers later this month. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, members of the Democratic National Alliance marching on Parliament Square today, calling for the Prime Minister to ring the bell for an election. Bethany McDermott was there as police were called to step in.
Waving placards reading, "Don't be scared, Minister, ring the bell," members of the DNA marched to Parliament Square demanding the Prime Minister call an early election. However, their efforts were thwarted as law enforcement sought to remove the group from the square. There was no social distancing among the group, and the crowd was eventually forced behind barricades into Rawson Square.
We have come to ask the Honourable Dr. Hubert Alexander Minister to ring the bell. For almost 365 days we've been under emergency orders, and the poor decisions by the Prime Minister have cost jobs. It has cost lives.
And being a third party, we asked the party leader if she is confident the DNA will be able to capture the next general election.
We are very confident. If we were not confident, we would not be standing here. We know we're going to take the victory when the bell is rung.
More armed officers eventually arrived on scene. Eventually, an officer dressed in khaki approached the group, asking if they had a permit issued by the police commissioner. It resulted in this exchange with DNA chairman Omar Smith.
We know that constitutionally we have a right to do what we're doing here right now, being protected in the Constitution. People who have asked permission from the Commissioner of Police, they do that out of courtesy. We have a right to do that.
So what the issue I have?
Yes.
Is when you start to become loud and belligerent and all of that stuff.
Well, that's all I am.
Well, and the loud noise.
That's demonstration.
Hold on. The loud noise is when I'm disturbing the confines of the whole.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Meanwhile, Free National Movement Member of Parliament Ellsworth Johnson today defending Progressive Liberal Party MP Picewell Forbes, who he says was treated unacceptably by his own party.
Treat the member for South Andros the way that he was treated. It's unacceptable. I do recall when this matter first came, I stood on this very same floor and I said to the member of Cat Island, who is not here today, strangely enough, listen, this is a committed and loyal gentleman. Whenever their attack was on Cat Island, he would jump to his feet. He would put himself, and Pine Ridge is agreeing, put himself in the way and block the fiery spears or darts that were heading toward Cat Island.
Johnson says Forbes was nothing but loyal to his party and its leader. This comes after Forbes indicated that he will not run in the next general election because of uncertainty over his renomination and a lack of support from the party's leadership. Well, questions swirling over who gets a nomination and who doesn't, with some sitting MPs feeling left out in the cold. Tonight, Kyle Joaquin takes a look at the nominations, nominees, and the controversy so far.
Do you intend to run in the next election?
Central and South Eleuthera MP Hank Johnson mum on his political future and whether he plans to seek re-election. Johnson now one of several FNM MPs who have not been confirmed as candidates in the upcoming election just yet. Also on that list, Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine, Fort Charlotte MP Mark Humes, Fox Hill MP Sean L. Ferguson, and Seabreeze MP Lanisha Roll. After Roll's abrupt resignation from cabinet, there's still no telling what will be the next move for the Seabreeze MP. Her father told reporters outside cabinet that his daughter was informed she wouldn't be given the nomination. But on Monday, Roll said this about her political future.
We will see what will happen. We will see what will happen. But my life is guided by the Lord, and whatever He permits is well done with me.
The FNM has ratified quite a number of incumbents, including Dr. Dwayne Sands, Marvin Dames, Jeff Lloyd, Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe, and Miriam Emanuel. But there are also some who have already stated they will not run again, including Brent Simonet, Renzel Roll, and James Aubrey. Nassau Village MP Halson Mutri has already resigned from the FNM, so it is unlikely he will get a nod. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has indicated that several sitting FNM MPs will not get the nomination to run again. East Grand Bahama MP Peter Turnquist found that out rather early on.
The Prime Minister has a view, as everybody is entitled to their view.
But the POP hasn't gone without its own shakeup.
My name would never rise again in political cycles.
Mangrove Key and South Andros MP Picewell Forbes appeared near tears as he informed parliamentarians he would no longer seek re-election. It came after months of uncertainty, Forbes said, and questions over the lack of support from party leaders.
And this became so much of a drag. I was a proud Androsian. I decided it's best to walk away.
PLP leader Philip Davis said there was never any doubt that Forbes would get the nomination, even despite the public questions raised after Monique Pindling, the daughter of former Prime Minister Sir Lyndon, expressed an interest in that seat.
He said that they just didn't want a Pindling on the ticket, and that whatever, because it was political season and campaign season, that they thought that the government or would use Daddy's or my dad's commission of inquiries, drug years, crime years as leverage and tool to win the general election.
And it's not just Andros making headlines for nomination within the PLP.
PNP! Hello!
Former West Grand Bahama and Bimini MP Obi Wolshcombe, who lost his seat in 2017, looking to get the nomination again and rallying the troops in support.
If it's all done the way it's supposed to be done and done all fairly, then it'll happen.
The party's deputy chair explained that while each branch may make a pick, there are two more levels in the party that decide who ultimately gets the nomination.
So once things are explained and say, this is how we've reached that conclusion, it appeases persons and we're back together, united as a team. But
no sitting PLP MPs have been ratified as yet. So far, the party has nominated 18 candidates for the next general election. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Partly cloudy skies in the capital today. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Breezy conditions on the outside of our studios. We're under some partly cloudy skies. Temperatures are in the mid-70s after we got up to near the 80, 85 degree mark. Winds out of the southwest 10 knots. and they are gusting at times. Feels like temperature are in the 75-degree category. Frontal boundary now moving across the northwest Bahamas, washing out, but some showers associated with that will be moving into the Grand Bahama, Bimini, and the Abacos. We do have a little line with showers ahead of that across the central Bahamas. Those will wash out later on tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Ahead on our news, the sole woman in the Minnis-led cabinet speaks up, and how teachers say the first week of face-to-face learning went. That's coming up when our news returns.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different, better. Now, imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe, has been appointed Minister of State for Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, making her the only woman in cabinet. She opened up about the appointment today. Bethany McDermott has that.
Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe is the sole woman among 16 men in the Minnis-led cabinet, a distinction she's not too happy about. Parker Edgecombe admitting that the lack of representation has been a long-standing issue.
I don't want to be the only female. I wish that there were more, and I am going to work towards ensuring that more women are running for political office, and that has to start at the party level. I think that the more women offer themselves, our chances of being at the table is even better. But I don't necessarily feel happy being the only one there.
The Minnis administration came under fire after Lanisha Roll resigned from the post of Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, and Iram Lewis was appointed as the ministerial replacement. Many were outraged that the Bahamas cabinet lost its only woman.
We have many female who will contribute to my voice in Parliament. I plan on joining up with those voices and bringing forward their concerns. So the empowerment of females are there because there are so many at different sectors and levels of our community. So I will take from them and I will be their voice in Parliament.
Parker Edgecombe also responded to claims that she was only given this appointment so the Minnis-led cabinet can have a woman in it.
That's politics. That's politics. And it has nothing to do with the work that we do, but we will not succumb to that. We are here to make a difference in this country. Whether I came here as a result of them feeling that it was just to put a female there, we're here. I'm the voice for females at this point in time at that level.
The West End, Grand Bahama and Bimini MP says she's committed to working hard in her new post.
I feel pretty confident because the team is already there. I know that they were working hard, and that is what we are going to build on.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Well, the Teachers Union president pleased with the rollout of face-to-face learning, admitting that while all of teachers' demands have not been met, they are pleased and feel safe reporting to work. Giorgio Bain reports.
Bahamas Teacher Union President Belinda Wilson says the first week of face-to-face learning went smoothly for most schools, with the Ministry of Education providing the majority of their necessities.
Teachers are faced with matters such as these on a daily basis. And a lot of times when we talk about how the student may be observed walking on the street cursing, or their behavior that they may bring onto the school campus, it's just a mirror of some of the things that they experience on a day-to-day basis from their parents.
According to Wilson, there have been some hiccups at the Stephen Dillard Primary School surrounding proper ventilation, but those concerns have since been addressed.
They have placed UV lights. They have put in vents in the AC. Some vents for the AC. They've cleaned the vents. They have an additional janitress, and the principal has given permission for the staff. I've asked him to let the staff take breaks with the students as often as they need to.
A week into the resumption of face-to-face, a voice note of a disgruntled parent making the rounds on social media. Bolton says that specific matter has been dealt with. She notes these incidents are nothing new and are only being highlighted because of social media.
We didn't get the barriers. No, we didn't get those at any of the schools. But all of the other, they had the hand sanitizers and the the masks and cleaning supplies and the janitresses and all of that was in place.
Reporting for our news, I'm Georgia Bain.
When our news comes back from the break, renters and landlords feel the pinch as rental assistance runs out, and a win for a Bahamian baller. The details when our news returns.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different, better, now. Imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
This is our news. Welcome back. Nearly half of the more than 1,000 gunshot reports responded to by police in 2020 were detected by spot shotter technology. That's according to National Security Minister Marvin Dames, who insists technology is having a positive impact on crime fighting.
120 body-worn cameras have been deployed in operational command and 20 at the Cable Beach Police Station. The remaining 80 are being upgraded with the necessary specs while officer training is ongoing. And these technologies are being supported, Mr. Speaker, by policies that governs its use.
Dames says data shows that there were 737 alerts in the area between Nassau Street and Village Road, compared to 180 alerts in the Fox Hill community and surrounding areas. Dames also giving an update on body cams.
The police responded to 1,052 gunshot reports. 44% or 463 gunshots were confirmed by shot spotter detection, which in turn resulted in 13 arrests.
According to statistics released by the police commissioner in January, overall crime decreased by 16% in 2020. In other news, a tenant says a $100 increase to his rent during the pandemic is unfair. This as renters and landlords across the country are feeling the pinch. Jared Higgs tells us more.
24-year-old Nelson Alcenor had just arrived home from his part-time security job, and his younger sibling informed him that their rent was being increased.
I think it's because of the property taxes or something like that said as increases. So because of that, rent will be increased.
A letter from his landlord notifies Alcenor that the rent on his two-bedroom apartment in southwest New Providence will be going up by $100 on May 1st from $700 to $800. It also notes that the landlords are forced to raise the rent because the Bahamas government real property taxes and building insurance have increased, as well as the inclusion of VAT.
For her to increase it during this time, I mean, like, how could she do something like that?
Alcenor, who worked as a dive instructor at a tourist venue before the pandemic, says it's unfair considering the state of the economy. The 24-year-old says he has had to rely on savings and NIB to pay his family's bills, including the rent. He gets by with $400 a month in NIB assistance, plus his part-time salary.
I wasn't sitting down, like doing something. I went out actually looking for a job, trying to pay bill. And while doing that, and again, they just increased it. That doesn't seem to be fair at all.
It's unfair. Unfair at a time like this to really raise it at $100. But it depends, because you got to understand the conversation they bought him at a hut.
We reached out to Alcenor's landlord and spoke to her over the phone. We won't reveal her identity, but she says the rent she collects from her tenants isn't enough to cover her mortgage. She insists that she has worked with her tenants and understands the difficulties they are facing, even allowing them to prioritize other bills over the rent. One woman we interviewed empathizes with the landlord.
Is the bank going to give the landlord a break? So it's not a matter of just not having a heart. It's a matter of, look, I need this rent to pay my mortgage.
Last April, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced a moratorium on evictions until June 2020. That rental assistance program also allowed tenants to defer 40% of their rent for 3 months. But with that program done, Alcenor has little recourse. He says he doesn't feel like his landlord is working with him right now, even though he admits to being in arrears 1 month on rent. We asked how he would respond to critics who say it's just $100.
For us, that's $100 is a lot. You know, you could do so much with $100. You could buy like food and groceries and stuff and pay other bills.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
NBA prospect Kai Jones leading the Texas Longhorns to a win versus Iowa State in a conference showdown. Marcellus Hall has the details.
Thank you so much, Christina. Welcome to Our Sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. It is Wednesday, so let's get you over the hump with some good news, shall we not? The Bahamas right now with 2 players in the NBA. Only one of them played last night. There is a third potentially on the way, that being Kai Jones. You see him on your screen playing for the Texas Longhorns. He and his Longhorns looking for a big win last night, taking on Iowa State. Let's see exactly how it went down. Kai Jones, 15th ranked Texas Longhorns, looking to bounce back from a loss in their last game when they lost to cross-state rivals Texas Tech. Longhorns going up against Iowa State in this one. What a night for Jones. He dominated the box score. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks for the Bahamian Texas, destroying the Cyclones 81-67. They get back on the winning track in a big way.
We built a lot of respect for them coming in, and we've seen where they've been close with really good teams like Baylor. We watched a lot of film on them and saw that they were a capable team. They just sometimes got the short end of the stick. So we came in just trying to be ready and be aggressive and take them serious, because especially last year, knowing that we came up here and didn't get the result we wanted at all. So we made an emphasis to come in and take them serious and be locked in on both ends of the floor.
And speaking of winning tracks, DeAndre Ayton and his Phoenix Suns seem to have found the formula. Suns taking on the defending NBA champion Lakers last night. Ayton logging 24 minutes. He finished with 17 points, 5 rebounds. The Suns getting the more important victory despite leading scorer Devin Booker being ejected from the game. 114-104 ends up being the final. Phoenix now 23-11. Guess what? They're second in the Western Conference. And that's your check for sports on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
Still to come, Greg has our weather outlook, plus a virtual expo for those looking to say I do in the Bahamas. Stay with us.
Imagine. That's where every advancement begins, with an idea that things can be different, better, now. Imagine a world where your entertainment experience was all about you, your style, your show, at your budget. At Rev, that's what we've imagined. To join the conversation and learn more about the future of Rev TV, visit us at rev.bs/imagine.
Welcome back to our news. Happy Hump Day. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the outlook for the rest of the week.
Thanks again, Christina, and a happy Wednesday evening, everybody. Front boundary now pushing into the northwest Bahamas will bring us a couple of isolated showers, possibly even an isolated thunderstorm as it continues to push towards the south and east. We expect that front boundary to continue weakening as it pushes towards the south. Breezy conditions ahead of that and breezy conditions behind the front. And that frontal boundary will usher in some slightly cooler temperatures, but a more significant front expected by the weekend with even cooler temperatures then. Your boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will start off southwest ahead of the front, becoming northwest and north at 15 to 20 knots. Seas will be running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. While in the central and southeastern islands, we have a caution flag down there. Southeast to southerly flow 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Monday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great Wednesday night, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Well, the Ministry of Tourism sharing a lot of love today with a virtual romance expo. Industry leaders, hotels, and venue representatives giving a take on romantic travel. Destination wedding specialist Lisa Sheldon says the industry has adapted because of the pandemic.
But it's given travel advisors the time to adapt, to implement new ways of doing business and overcoming, the obstacles that they have. So while, the industry has changed, but we're adapting.
Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar stressing that the Bahamas is open for business.
the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism and Aviation quickly took action and made the necessary adjustments and re-strategized to ensure a smooth and seamless transition from the old to the new. Hence this virtual romance show.
We eagerly await your return to the Bahamas with open arms, ready to host your romantic events in a safe and healthy environment.
The expo also featured a virtual fashion show with the beautiful waters of the Bahamas serving as the backdrop. Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.